There is a biblical prophecy that was pronounced over 4,000 years ago in the middle of the desert about a rejected boy, expelled from home with his mother, without water, without hope. That boy was named Ishmael, and God made him a promise that would forever change the face of planet Earth. 12 sons, 12 princes, 12 nations that would multiply like the sand of the sea. Today, these 12 lineages control the oil that moves the world, the most strategic trade routes in history, and influence billions of lives. But nobody, absolutely nobody, taught you this in church. Why? Because the truth about the sons of Ishmael was buried, forgotten, ignored, until now. In the next 30 minutes, you will discover where these 12 tribes are today, how they became 22 Arab nations, and why this story completely changes everything you thought you knew. About the Middle East, about biblical prophecies, and about God's plan for humanity. Get ready, because after this video, you will never read Genesis the same way again. To understand where the 12 sons of Ishmael are today, you need to go back with me to the most painful moment of his life. A moment that most people ignore because it is uncomfortable, because it touches on difficult questions about rejection, abandonment, and God's silence when we need him most. Ishmael was only 14 years old when his life fell apart. He was not a stranger. He was Abraham's firstborn, the first son, the one who should inherit everything. For 14 years, Ishmael was the center of attention, the boy who carried the name, the legacy, the promise. Abraham loved him. You can feel it in the scriptures. When God says the covenant will be with Isaac, Abraham pleads, "Oh, that Ishmael might live before you." He did not want to lose his son, but Sarah, the legitimate wife, demanded it, and Abraham, with a broken heart, obeyed. Imagine the scene. The sun had barely risen, and Abraham wakes up Hagar, the Egyptian slave, Ishmael's mother. He places some bread and a skin of water on her shoulders. That is all. To cross a desert that killed grown men in a matter of days. He does not look his son in the eyes. He cannot. He just points to the horizon and sends them away. Ishmael does not understand. He looks back, sees the tent moving away, sees the father who does not say goodbye. And for the first time in his life, that boy feels something that will mark his descendants forever. Rejection, abandonment, the feeling that he was not the chosen one, that there was another in his place. Hagar and Ishmael walk hours, days. The sun burns their skin, their throats dry, their tongues swell. The water runs out. Hagar places her son under a bush, moves away so she does not have to watch him die, and cries. She cries like only a mother who has lost everything can cry. And there, in that moment of total despair, something extraordinary happens. God appears, but he does not appear to Abraham. He does not appear to Sarah. He appears to Hagar, to the slave, to the woman the world despised. And the question the angel asks is disturbing. What troubles you, Hagar? It is as if God said, I see you, I know exactly what you are feeling, and you are not alone. And then comes the promise that would change world history. Arise, lift up the boy, and hold him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Ishmael would not be discarded. He would be multiplied. 12 princes would come from him. 12 tribes, and they would be so numerous that no one could count them. But there is something in the prophecy that most ignore, something that explains 4,000 years of history. God says, he will be like a wild donkey among men. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will dwell in hostility toward all his brothers. This phrase is not a curse, it is a description. Ishmael would be free, untamed, a warrior. His descendants would not bow easily. They would dwell on the edges, on the borders, in difficult places, and they would always be in tension with the sons of Isaac, the Israelites, always close, always in conflict. Always brothers, Ishmael survived. He grew up in the wilderness of Paran, became a skilled archer, a man of the desert. He married an Egyptian woman, and God fulfilled the promise. He had 12 sons, and each of these sons became a prince, a leader of a powerful tribe. The names are recorded in Genesis 25, verses 12 through 18. And they are not just names, they are identities, destinies, coded prophecies that point to entire nations that exist to this day. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael was Nebaioth, then Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their villages and by their encampments. 12 princes according to their nations. 12 names, 12 tribes, and each of these tribes left an indelible mark on history. Nebaioth, the firstborn, is mentioned in Isaiah 60 verse 7 as a people who would bring offerings to the Lord. Scholars believe that Nebaioth settled in the region we know today as Jordan and northern Saudi Arabia. His descendants were nomads, traders of cattle and sheep. They controlled vital trade routes between Arabia and the Mediterranean. Kedar is perhaps Ishmael's most famous son. His name means dark or powerful. The tribe of Kedar became synonymous with wealth, military power, and desert trade. They are mentioned several times in the Bible. In Ezekiel 27 verse 21, Kedar is described as one of Tyre's main trading partners, the richest city in the ancient world. Jeremiah 49 prophesies the temporary destruction of Kedar, but also its restoration. And here is the impressive detail. Many historians and Arab genealogists trace the lineage of the Prophet Muhammad directly to Kedar. This means that Islam, the world's second largest religion with nearly 2 billion followers, has its roots in Ishmael through Kedar. Think about that for a moment. God's promise to Hagar in the desert was not just about numbers. It was about influence, impact, global change. Adbeel and Mibsam are less documented, but archaeological evidence suggests their tribes inhabited northern Arabia, near what is now Syria and Iraq. They were known as fierce warriors and nomadic shepherds. Mishma means hearing or obedience. His tribe settled in regions further south, possibly in what is now Yemen. Mishma is mentioned in Assyrian records as a tribal leader who paid tribute to the empire. Duma is fascinating. His name is directly linked to Dumat al-Jandal, an oasis city in northern Saudi Arabia that exists to this day. For centuries, Duma was a strategic trading point, a place where caravans stopped, where water was life, where tribes met. Isaiah 21 verse 11 speaks of a prophecy about Duma, a message of vigilance and waiting. Duma would be a people who lived on the frontier, always alert, always ready. Massa means burden or oracle. Proverbs 30 verse 1 and 31 verse 1 mention words of Agur, son of Jake the Massit, and words of King Lemuel, the oracle his mother taught him. This suggests that the tribe of Massa had a tradition of wisdom, of teaching, of preserving oral knowledge. They were the guardians of stories, laws, and prophecies in the desert. Hadad probably refers to the Edomites or Hadadites, tribes that inhabited southern Arabia. The name Hadad was a Semitic deity associated with storms and fertility, indicating the religious influence of these tribes before Islam. Tema is another extremely well-documented tribe. The city of Tema, mentioned in Job 6 verse 19 and Jeremiah 25 verse 23, was a major commercial center in northwestern Arabia. Caravans from India, Africa, and the Mediterranean passed through Tema. It was a place of wealth, cultural exchange, power. Nabonidus, the last king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, spent 10 years in Tema, trying to make it a second capital. The tribe of Tema had political, economic, and religious influence. Jetur settled in the region we know today as the Golan Heights, between Syria and Israel, in 1 Chronicles 5 verse 19. The descendants of Jetur are mentioned in a war against the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. They were formidable warriors, cattle herders, and controlled strategic mountainous territories. Naphish means precious or refreshing. Evidence suggests his tribe inhabited areas near the Euphrates, in what is now Iraq. They were known for controlling water sources and oases, resources worth more than gold in the desert. Kedema means eastern. His tribe settled further east, possibly on the borders of what is now Iran. They were the most distant, the most mysterious, those who dwelt on the margins of the known world. 12 sons, 12 tribes, and each of them multiplied, spread out, conquered territories, formed alliances, waged war, traded, survived. But here is the question no one answers. If there were only 12 tribes, how did they become 22 Arab nations? How do Ishmael's descendants dominate today a territory? That goes from Morocco to Iraq, from Yemen to Syria. The answer is more impressive than you imagine. God's promise to Ishmael was not static. It was not, "You will have 12 sons, and that's it." It was, "I will multiply you exceedingly." It was a promise of exponential growth, of expansion, of territorial dominion. For centuries, the 12 tribes of Ishmael lived as nomads. They did not build permanent cities. They did not have established kingdoms like Israel or Judah. They were the desert wind, here today, there tomorrow. They traded with everyone, waged war when necessary, and survived where no one else could. But something changed in the 7th century, something that would shake the world forever. In 610 after Christ, a man named Muhammad, descendant of Kedar, son of Ishmael, began receiving revelations in a cave near Mecca. These revelations would become the Quran, and the message was clear. There is one God, and Muhammad is his prophet. I am not here to debate theology. I am here to show the fulfillment of a prophecy, because what happened after the emergence of Islam was exactly what God had told Hagar. I will make him into a great nation. In just 100 years, Islam spread from Arabia to Spain in the west and to India in the east. The Arab tribes, which were previously fragmented, disunited, now had a common identity: the Islamic faith and the Arabic language. They conquered the Persian Empire. They took half of the Byzantine Empire. They established caliphates that lasted for centuries. And here is the crucial detail. These conquests were not just military. They were cultural, linguistic, and genetic. Peoples who were not originally Arab began to adopt the Arabic language, Arab culture, and identify as Arabs. Egyptians, Berbers from North Africa, peoples of Mesopotamia, all were Arabized. Today, the Arab League recognizes 22 nations as officially Arab: Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritania, Sudan, Somalia, Djibouti, and Comoros. 22 nations, more than 430 million people, controlling 13 million square kilometers of territory and holding 60% of the world's oil reserves. But it is not just about numbers, it is about influence. Today, the Arab world controls the most strategic maritime routes on the planet. The Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil passes, the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, between the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, the Suez Canal, which connects Europe and Asia. The prophecy of Genesis 16 verse 12 said that Ishmael will dwell in hostility toward all his brothers. And that is exactly what we see. The Arab world borders Israel, Europe, Africa, Asia. They are at the geographic center of the known world. They are the bridge between East and West, and the part about his hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. Look at history. Crusades, European colonialism, conflicts with Israel, Gulf War, Arab Spring, internal conflicts between Sunnis and Shiites. The Arab world has been in constant tension, internal and external, exactly as was prophesied. But here is what most do not realize. This tension is not weakness. It is resistance. It is survival. The tribes of Ishmael were invaded by Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Mongols, Crusaders, Ottomans, Europeans, and they still exist. They still speak the same language. They still occupy the same lands. They still identify as descendants of Ishmael. This is not coincidence. It is prophetic fulfillment. Now we come to the most delicate and most important part. What does the Bible say about the future of Ishmael's descendants? Do they have a role in God's plan, or were they just a detour in salvation history? The answer will surprise you. First, we need to understand something fundamental. God never rejected Ishmael. Never. When Abraham pleads, "Oh, that Ishmael might live before you," God responds in Genesis 17, verse 20, "As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will bless him. I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes he will beget, and I will make him into a great nation." God heard Abraham. He blessed Ishmael. He promised to multiply him. This is important because it means Ishmael was not discarded. He simply had a different destiny from Isaac. Isaac would be the son of the promise, through whom would come the covenant, the law, the prophets, and finally the Messiah. Ishmael would be the son of blessing, through whom would come a great nation, power, influence, and a crucial role in human history. Second, the Bible prophesies several times about the future of Ishmael's descendants, and these prophecies are both of judgment and restoration. Isaiah 60 verse 6 and 7 says something impressive. "A multitude of camels will cover you, the young camels of Midian and Ephah. All from Sheba will come. They will bring gold and incense and will proclaim the praises of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar will be gathered to you. The rams of Nebaioth will minister to you. They will come up with acceptance on my altar. And I will glorify the house of my glory." Kedar and Nebaioth, sons of Ishmael, and the prophecy says they will bring offerings to the Lord, that their flocks will serve at God's altar. This is not the language of rejection. It is the language of inclusion, of worship, of participation in the kingdom of God. Psalm 72, verse 10 and 11, speaks about the reign of the Messiah. "The kings of Tarshish and of the isles will bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba will offer gifts. All kings will bow down before him. All nations will serve him." Sheba, a region in southern Arabia, territory of Ishmael's descendants. And the prophecy says they will bow down before the Messiah. Matthew 2 narrates the visit of the wise men from the east to the baby Jesus. These wise men were not Jews. Christian tradition identifies them as coming from Persia, from Arabia, from regions controlled by descendants of Ishmael. They brought gold, incense, and myrrh. Exactly what Isaiah 60 prophesied. The first Gentiles to worship Jesus were descendants of Ishmael. Think about that. Third, the Apostle Paul makes a fascinating allegory in Galatians 4, comparing Hagar and Sarah, Ishmael and Isaac. He says that Ishmael represents the old covenant, the law, slavery, and Isaac represents the new covenant, grace, freedom. But Paul is not saying that the physical descendants of Ishmael are lost. He is saying that all of us, Jews or Gentiles, descendants of Isaac or Ishmael, need to be born of the promise, not of the flesh. We need to be children of God by faith, not by genealogy. Romans 11 is clear. God has not rejected Israel. And if he did not reject Israel, which broke the covenant repeatedly, why would he reject Ishmael, who was never under the covenant? The truth is this: God loves the descendants of Ishmael. He has a plan for them, and that plan is unfolding before our eyes. Today, there are millions of Muslims, descendants of Ishmael, who are having dreams and visions with Jesus. There is a growing conversion movement in the Arab world. Secret churches are emerging in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Iraq. The gospel is spreading in the same lands where Ishmael walked, and this is not coincidence. It is prophecy. It is the fulfillment of Isaiah 60. It is Kedar and Nebaioth bringing offerings to the Lord. Ishmael's story is not over. It is just beginning to be completely fulfilled. Perhaps you are wondering, okay, this story is fascinating, but what does it have to do with me? Why should I care about the 12 sons of Ishmael? Let me show you. First, this story teaches us about God's faithfulness. Hagar was in the desert without water, without hope, about to watch her son die. She was a slave, a foreigner, a woman the world considered disposable. But God saw her, God heard her, God fulfilled the promise He made to her. If you are going through a desert now, if you feel rejected, forgotten, as if you were not the chosen one, as if everyone had someone except you, remember Hagar. Remember Ishmael. God sees you, God hears you, and He has a promise for you that no one can steal. Second, this story teaches us about God's sovereignty. Ishmael was not the son of the promise, but God blessed him anyway. He multiplied him, He made him into a great nation. This shows us that God is not limited to our expectations, our plans, our neat theologies. He is greater, more generous, more creative. You may not be the chosen one, according to the world's standards. You may not have the right pedigree, the right family, the right opportunities. But that does not mean God does not have an extraordinary plan for you. Ishmael proves that. Third, this story challenges us to rethink our divisions. For centuries, Christians and Muslims, descendants of Isaac and descendants of Ishmael, have been in conflict. Crusades, wars, terrorism, hatred. But look at the origin. Isaac and Ishmael were brothers. They shared the same father. They reunited at Abraham's funeral in Genesis 25 verse 9, and together buried their father, not as enemies, as brothers. Is God calling you to build bridges instead of walls? To love instead of hate? To see the image of God even in those you consider the other side? Fourth, this story reminds us that God writes long stories, 4,000 years, 12 tribes that became 22 nations, prophecies that take millennia to be completely fulfilled. God is not in a hurry. He is weaving a tapestry, so large that we only see a few threads. So if you are waiting for a promise, if you are tired, if you think God has forgotten you, do not give up. Ishmael's story took 4,000 years to unfold. Yours is also unfolding, and the ending will be more glorious than you imagine. Fifth, this story invites us to participate in God's plan. Isaiah prophesied that Ishmael's descendants would bring offerings to the Lord. This is happening now, but it needs you. It needs Christians who love the Arab world, who pray for them, who share the gospel with them, who see in them not enemies but brothers waiting to know Jesus. You can be part of this prophecy. You can be part of God's story bringing Ishmael's descendants back to Him. So here we are, at the end of a story that began 4,000 years ago and is still being written. Ishmael, the rejected boy who became the father of nations. 12 sons who became 22 nations, a promise whispered in the desert that shook the world. But more than that, a lesson about the nature of God. He does not discard anyone. He does not waste any story. He does not forget any promise. If you are like Ishmael, if you have ever felt like the second choice, Plan B, the one who was left behind, this story is for you. God has a blessing with your name on it, and it is as great as anyone else's. If you are like Hagar, if you are in the desert now, not knowing how you will survive, not seeing a way out, this story is for you. God sees you. He is about to open your eyes to a source of water that you did not even know was there. And if you are like Abraham, if you are trying to understand how God can fulfill conflicting promises, how He can bless both Isaac and Ishmael, both Jews and Arabs, both you and those you consider rivals, this story is for you. because it shows that God is big enough for all of us. The 12 sons of Ishmael are not a footnote in the Bible. They are an entire chapter in God's plan, and that chapter is still being written. So I ask you, will you be part of this story? Will you pray for Ishmael's descendants? Will you see in them not enemies but brothers waiting to know the same God who saved you? Because if there is one thing this story proves, it is that God never gives up on anyone. Never. And if he did not give up on Ishmael in the desert, he will not give up on you. If this video touched your heart, if it made you see the Bible in a completely new way, I need you to do 3 things. First, leave a comment. Tell me, did you already know this story? What surprised you the most? Do you believe God is still fulfilling this prophecy? Second, share this video because I guarantee there is someone in your life who needs to hear this message. Someone who feels rejected, someone who is in the desert, someone who needs to know that God does not give up. Third, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because every week I bring biblical stories that no one told you, revelations that will completely change the way you read Scripture. Ishmael's story is just the beginning. See you in the next video. And remember, God never wastes a story. Not Ishmael's, not yours.